The affirmation today is, I am the positive change in my life. If we can repeat that 3 times and affirm. I am the positive change in my life. I am the positive change in my life. And indeed we are. We have the power to change our way of thinking, which in turn changes our life. And this morning I wanted to talk a little bit about our perceptions, things that we sometimes perceive in life. We can perceive a lot of negativity and bad things in the actions of other people, but in reality they're often very, very benign. One great example that occurs to me is, some of you may recall, a while back we were meeting at the Wesley Chapel over on Freeman, and when we took that, when we first signed up to meet there, we were so delighted because the church had a lot of great portraits, great religious portraits that had been in storage, and we had the opportunity to hang them on the walls and display them, and it was really a nice opportunity rather than them sitting in a storage unit collecting dust. And some of you may recall, in the chapel we frequently had a rather big portrait that we would hang there, and it was on the very back wall of the portrait. Also, you may recall, there was another group that would meet there after us on Sundays, but we'd come in every Sunday and we'd find that the picture had been taken down. And we would, sort of scratch our head, because these were really, very mainline traditional paintings. So, we'd drag out the ladder and climb up there and, rehang this heavy portrait. And come next Sunday, we'd come in and that portrait would be down again. And we were just, we'd get so frustrated thinking, are these, people so, convinced that that our teachings are so opposed to them that they can't even have the same picture, because they were a very traditional fundamentalist Christian group. So this happened for months and months and months. And finally, one day, for whatever reason, Pastor Mike had a meeting, I think, with the people in the Wesley who managed the chapel, and also the people were there who were from that evening service. And in the end, it turned out simply that, like we project now, they projected things on the back wall, and they were merely taking that portrait down because, their things couldn't project on the wall. And all this time, even though it was Sunday, the day that we should have been, the most forgiving and grasping onto our new thought fundamentals and realizing that our way of thinking needs to be positive, and we shouldn't read anything, into other people's actions, certainly nothing negative. But that was an amusing thing to find out after all that time. And I think that that happens to us a lot in life. Another example is, we once had a neighbor, and every trash day they would put their cans out and block the driveway. So you'd have to stop the car and get out and move their thing. And the perception was, these evil people, why are they doing that? They must be mad at us about something. And then, a long time later, it came to light that it was simply the fact that somebody was coming in the early morning hours to take the recyclables out of the can, and we had the big floodlight at the end of our driveway. So it was just easier for them to pull the can over in front of our driveway and take the thing out. The neighbors weren't, doing anything at all. But again, it's easy to fall into that mode of thinking of, oh, these people are being evil, or, what's this horrible thing? So as Pastor Mike talks a lot about, we need to change our way of thinking. We know that when we change the way that we think about things, oftentimes we can find that perhaps the circumstance doesn't change right away, but because our way of thinking about it changes, we feel better about it. And the end result is that we feel better, and that's really the primary goal. There's no need for us to be upset and out of sorts about things that we don't really have control over. When we can be the change our way of thinking, get to a better centered place, you don't necessarily change what's happening out there, because we know that what happens out there is what happens out there, but the reality is everything is within us, and we have that power to change that and make that better. And the good news is that we are truth students, and so we know these principles. We get to hear about them every Sunday, and we get to be enlightened and change our way of thinking.